educational system, and when they come out, they can't read or write.
Was Emmett Till crucified?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
And Martin King was crucified.
Yes.
Malcolm X.
Yes. Next caller, Kathy.
Hello, good morning, Dr. Sampson. I have a question for you.
Sure.
On the crucifixion part, was he really on a crucifixion or on a pole?
It was the Roman tradition was to put him on a cross. And when you go back and do the research, sometimes it was upside down. Because so it was not, quote unquote, a pole as a single pole as we understand, like a flagpole. But the other side of the coin is the level of violence is not biblically based, because the writers in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the writers was trying to say that only God can get you out the cross, out of your tombs, out of the ground, and it really depicts a father rescuing his son. That's the dominant theme in the crucifixion and the resurrection. In fact, they sing a song in church, "No cross, no crown."
But let me,
Sure.
not to cut you off,
Sure.
and I see
Sure.
the caller,
No
but let me just say this. Dr. Sampson said something there, and one of the things that I was talking to some of my associates about, the father rescues the son, Jesus. But Jesus was praying, "Why have you forsaken me?" Now, I know there's a history to this. But for a child that comes to the movie, and Jesus is praying to his father to rescue him, that child don't understand how it ended, because he did not get rescued. And that's my point about, but it's back to what Dr. Sampson said. We are more concerned about the resurrection, not the crucifixion. Because when you crucified him, that left the kid wondering, my father don't have no power. My father don't love me. My father allowed them to kill me, and the movie ended. What the hell?
And stay there. Stay there. Because in my church, every child, male or female, I'm the godfather. I'm the godfather. Because we're living in a single family community now. And where is the black man? So boys, you know I'm a warrior.
Yeah, sure.
So I have to show black children, males, you ain't got to be homosexual. Females, you ain't got to be Eve and Evelyn and Steve and Cleve. That you can come from an African spirit of our ancestors. Because one day you're going back to Africa and you're going to meet tribes of people who can track themselves all the way back to grandmama, great-grandmama, great-great-great-grandmama. So I want you to know that if your daddy didn't get home to save you, then I am here as your ministerial representative, not to violate you, but to save you.
That's right.
I got a boy in my community right now who saw his mama get killed on the drug piece. And he used to come to our program and bang his head. The way he handled his problem was that he would bang his head every time. And I gave him a book because he used to draw. And I gave him just a plain book and said, every time you get angry, put down who made you angry and what made you angry. The boy getting good grades. Last year, he came to me with, my son goes to, Fernwood Elementary School, one of them stickers that you put on with, okay? Because I call him son, and he calls me godfather. Now, I leave room for daddy to come home as the father, but I'm the godfather, okay? Not the Italian godfather who sits up and plays military games, but a godfather who says, when you see me on television, when you hear me on the radio, when you see me out here picketing, you're seeing the power of a black man saying, kill me or let me go.
That's a strong one.
Well, get that.
Reverend.
Caller?
Caller.
How you doing?
Excellent.
This is Minister Lyons back again. I was listening to what you were saying, but I don't think I got a clear view of what you were saying. I think it was kind of a runaround. But I want to say, you're using the scriptures a lot, and you're taking this back into you're talking about it's not about race and it's not about culture, but yet you're taking it back into a race thing yourself, Reverend. I don't know your name.
Al Sampson, Reverend Sampson.
Reverend Sampson.
Yes.
But you're taking it back into not a cultural, but a race thing. And also, the reason why I mentioned suffering the first time said, without the shedding of the blood, there is what? You're Reverend. You finish that. Finish it for me.
No, I'm not going to finish it.
Okay, without the shedding of the blood, there is no remission for sins, nowhere. And let me say this also. Jesus died for the whole world. Nothing to do with race, religion, creed, didn't have nothing to do with that. He said, you just said the scripture a minute ago, for God so loved what? You just said it. What did you say? For God so loved the world that he gave his only.
No, the other doctor said it.
No, he gave his
John
only
3:16.
son.
He's
John
talking about
3:16. Go ahead.
That's what you just said. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. We can go through genealogy, he came down through 40 and 2 in generations. Yes, he did. It's according to the scriptures. But what I don't believe is that God did not come down here to I know we here in America, and yes, black people, because I'm a young black minister, and yes, black people are being ostracized in some ways. But let me tell you something. I found out a long time ago that nobody stops you from succeeding but you. And that's the God honest truth.
Okay, well, time is short.
I'll be glad to have lunch with you when I come off my 40-day fast.
Oh, what's your number? Give us the number so the Reverend.
773-445-7125, because as a young man, you need to be taught, and I'll be glad to listen to you, and I hope and pray that you will listen to me, because you're the future. I got 48 years. I'm seeing the sunset. You're seeing the daylight. And I'll be glad, my beloved son in the ministry, to sit with you and show you the word. Most preachers, boys, are trapped with Paul. And they like to talk about Paul because they don't ever want to talk about Jesus. And we'll work with you.
I get that number one more time.
773-445-7125. BoycottPassionFilm.com. BoycottPassionFilm.com.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on yield because I really want to hear what some of these callers said, but I'm on yield. Go on, baby.
Caller, George.
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
Excellent.
Okay, I'd like to give my views about this.
Real quick.
It is very philosophical that when the scripture says Jesus Christ will come again, it is because there are certain things remind us that he has come back and he is here. Because I don't believe that he's going to come back physically. And when we see these type of movies, that people are really inspired by God to let us know that he's back. And I will agree when you said one thing about our race of people. We will pass by certain issues in the neighborhood, and we will go elsewhere when we should be taking care of our own and teaching your children from home who Jesus Christ is, what he is, and what God is. And most people don't know that God is love.
Let me just say this, though.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller.
See, and I want to stay on the movie because the sadness. Before Boise put me in the awkward position of having to go see it, I thought just what this caller said. But it's a sad indictment that we are so bankrupt spiritually that we have to go look at a daggone movie that Mel Gibson said, just like many of our preachers used to say, I heard a voice. Mel Gibson say, the Spirit told me to do this. Okay, Mel, I ain't going to argue with you on that. You did what you saw and what the Spirit told you to do. But those of us in our community, there is no excuse for you all to think that this is the second coming of the Lord. That movie is not the signal that Jesus has risen. You need to understand it's only a movie.
Plus the fact, but it has a subliminal piece, Doc.
To oppress.
To 21st century, the new and improved Jesus.
And remember, that puts...
Not the blonde hair, blue eye.
Yeah, but
now we got a dark hair and brown eye.
But also remember, when we were young, we had the greatest story ever told, remember?
Right.
Now here comes the greatest lie told again. But here's the point. It's a new generation of our young people. You see?
For this sister here.
So that she can understand that white is right, the boy's water is colder than our water. You see that it's devil's food cake, which is black, but it's angel food cake, which is white.
Yeah.
All right?
And I'm going to blackmail you instead of whitemail you.
See, I think what we got to deal with is something Dr. Sampson said earlier that you callers have not heard in this segment. And maybe he can elaborate on this because I think it's very significant. Passion without compassion. Preaching. Church people that went to the movie. Show me where was compassion. The only person that showed compassion for Jesus was that black man carrying the cross, and they had to force him to carry the cross.
But you also have to remember that years ago in the old movie, they at least gave us a black man called Simon of Cyrene.
That's right. Yeah.
He was black. Even in Jesus of Nazareth, all the other pictures, this is the first time he'd been taken out. And I don't know whether he didn't do his job. I don't know what the piece was, but everybody I talked
He asked him too much money.
I think, past union wages or something.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is that we take the burden of the world because we know the secrets of the world. And what are the secrets? To love God. And beside God, there is no other. And by the way, my brother, Jesus is going to come back physically. He's not going to come back by spirit, because he's already spirit. God is spirit. They that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth.
Well, if he
don't think for 1 minute, trust me, some people were saying that the war of Armageddon was going on with Bush and the folk in Iraq and Iran. And believe me, God got too much wisdom to bring Armageddon through a Texas cowboy.
That's right.
You understand? To be jumping on the brother.
I tell you, but if Jesus come back looking like me, he going to the joint. He going to the penitentiary. I'm telling you.
I'm going to take these calls real fast. We don't have that much time left.
I'm sorry.
Real fast. Caller?
It gets good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What I wanted to answer, not really answer about, but I wanted to comment on what the Reverend had said about the race thing. When the other Reverend got on, see, I'm from Minnesota. So when I come back here, I kind of stay in the house because Chicago is different from how it is in Minnesota. There is no unification because there's not many of us there. And when you go to the churches, every time you go to the churches there in Minnesota, all you see is a lot of, European people. You don't see too many brothers. And you don't hear anything about that. And when we go in, you hear about what you've done wrong and all the bad stuff. And it's like, man, isn't religion supposed to be uplifting?
Right.
What I hear is all the pain and what we did in the past. And what I've gotten for myself, I'm still trying to realize what Adam did. I'm like, Adam did this stuff. All these guys did this stuff, and they single us out a lot when we look at things.
We had to cut you off, caller, because we run out of time.
Yes, we're running out of time. We understand you, and thank you for your call. Next caller?
Yes?
Yes?
Real fast, please.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I'm thankful for Reverend Dr. Al Sampson about speaking about such things, because for a minister who's supposed to know the Word of God, for him to get on national TV and speak against what you're saying is absolutely preposterous. I think that we shouldn't boycott the movie because it is an actual portrayal of what really did happen to Jesus Christ. But to tell the truth, but to be telling that it was a black man, not to play the race card, but we have been taught to hate ourselves so much that we're willing to sit back and cry about this white man that they whooping and refuse to accept that Jesus was a black man and the apostles was black men. We can't cry about our women who are prostitutes and on drugs and how our children are being mistaught and miseducated in the system, but we'll cry about this poor little white man.
Thank you for your call. Sorry about that.
Unfortunately, a woman did have a heart attack in the show watching the movie in Philadelphia, but she was a Caucasian woman. I don't understand that part. Go ahead.
Next caller, real fast, please. We don't have that much time.
Yeah, I saw the movie, and one of the things that I came away with was this. When I look at history in context and what it is that's being portrayed, let's say from a religious context, I have more people in my community feeling apathetic about something that may or may not have happened, and we don't know anything about the real violations that have been taking place as it relates to our ancestors. You got one man who is being portrayed as a white man who got beaten. But I got ancestors after ancestors after ancestors.
I love you.
All right. But
I love you.
But I got ancestors who got feet chopped off.
That's right.
Limbs chopped off.
Right,
beat.
castrated.
Women got sliced open when they was pregnant. Please. Well, let's get real about what's happened to us. Leave everybody else alone. They religions, this, that, the other. Can we talk about something that's real and our own personal experience, which transcend even the portrayal by this movie? You all be blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Ray Ray got beat up last night. Nobody cried for Ray Ray.
And the church doors was closed.
I would like to thank all you for telling the truth about this movie. I was not able to see
over
it
already?
Yes. I would like to, well, as you've been telling me about this movie, Mel Gibson needs to tell the truth. It's not really a racist thing.
Do you expect for him to tell the truth? Do you expect for Mel Gibson to tell the truth?
No.
The man made $170 million so far, and he only put in $30 million.
And he's going to make a sequel to it.
He's going to make part 2, part 3, so that your children, when you have some, will love this guy.
But he making it seem like this movie is about 2004 Jesus, that this is the way we should see him now.
That's right.
But how you going to make a Jesus in 2004? Jesus has always been around. So you can't just create somebody it's 2004, I'm going to make Jesus. You can't do that.
And remember that a white man made a lot of money on the moon rock. And the white man made a lot of money on the hoopa loop. So white people make money. The Prayer of Jabez by Bruce Wilkinson made $200 million. I think everybody need to go back and read W.B. Du Bois, The Souls of Black Folk, 100 years later. He said, how's it feel to be the problem?
Give your number again.
773-445-7125. 773-445-7125.
And then boycott.
And boycottpassionfilm.com. And if you stay in touch with Boise, we can go down to Edna's and sit around and talk about this in a physical setting where we can see each other. But you got to get to Boise to set it up. Thanks for letting me on. Come on. Love
Thank you.
Thanks, Doc.
You were watching The Real Deal. Thanks for everybody watching. Thanks for all my callers, and thanks for my guests.
Thank you, sister.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Thank everyone.
And we didn't get a chance to get to Haiti.
No.
My poor Aristide, poor man.
Maybe by the time we get back, he'll be back in the country.
Yeah, now you say the place that you can.
In January, our